What would you think if you knew that a single villain would manage to take away Mr. Incredible's love for his wife, the affection of his daughter, and the admiration of his 2 kids?
We appreciate what you did in the old days, but those days are over. From now on, you're on your own.
Well, folks, Incredibles 3 is definitely a movie that's already in the Disney pipeline, and it's going to feature the most cruel, diabolical, and sinister villain of all the films. And right now, we're going to tell you exactly who this villain is and how they're going to pull all of this off.
I hereby declare war on peace and happiness!
The Incredibles are coming, and with them comes a mind-blowing revelation. Before Marvel was bought by Disney, The Incredibles was the superhero universe that the company owned. And let's agree, it's pretty awesome. What makes this movie so cool is the fact that it's about a united family fighting against evil, which is basically their superpower. And someone lurking in the shadows realizes that's exactly what needs to end once and for all. And that's precisely where the plan of this new supervillain comes in, and we're going to tell you about it soon. If there's one thing superheroes have, it's enemies who want to end their lives. And if we stop to notice, it was exactly resentment that led both Syndrome and Evelyn to be so evil and to want the ultimate demise of all the world's superheroes. Following this line of thinking, it's highly likely that the same thing will happen in the 3rd installment of the franchise, which leads us to ponder how it will unfold. The new story of Incredibles 3. A very interesting theory has been circulating the internet, claiming that this criminal and hidden mastermind who orchestrates everything from behind the scenes will aim to destroy the Incredible family by causing them to split up for good. And for this purpose, they will cause a lot of problems, like introducing a handsome and helpful hero to work alongside Elastigirl, making her question whether she should remain married to Mr. Incredible or not, especially since they'll be going through a tough phase in their marriage. This is primarily caused by the sudden appearance of Helen's parents, who show up after many years and simply despise Bob, because that's what many in-laws do, right? They dislike their sons-in-law. And daughters-in-law too, to be fair. Well, not always. Proof of their disapproval of the relationship is the fact that they weren't present at the superhero wedding, where other non-superheroes were, like Edna Mode and Rick Dicker from the government. But after superheroes are legalized again in Incredibles 2, they too, with superpowers, return to visit the family and get to know their 3 grandchildren. The catch is that they turn Mr. Incredible's life into a living hell, which ends up affecting his relationship with Elastigirl, his wife. The catch is that someone is blackmailing them behind all this to destroy the Incredibles' home.
If laws are unjust, there are laws to change them. Otherwise, it's chaos.
Which is exactly what we have.
At the same time, Dash befriends a new boy at school, and Violet starts dating Tony Rydinger. But the thing is, both this new boy and Tony start planting ideas against Mr. Incredible in their children's minds, causing them to drift further away from their father, leaving him isolated and lonely, as well as deeply depressed. This makes him weaker and weaker, which is exactly what the shadowy figure desires, the person who is the new villain of Incredibles. So folks, none of this was a coincidence. In fact, everything was orchestrated by someone who harbors a deep hatred for the entire family, but especially for Mr. Incredible. And no, this villain won't be a resurrected or cyborg Syndrome, but rather someone else whom the hero has wronged in the past. Someone who is also filthy rich and has a lot of power and money to invest in carrying out their wicked plans. Bob's former boss. For those who have watched The Incredibles, you surely felt a lot of satisfaction when Mr. Incredible took down his arrogant and mean boss and tossed him through several walls. But hey, never do that with your own boss, alright? After all, you don't have the government to help you start a new life somewhere else.
You were this close to losing your...
The thing is, when the heroes were re-legalized, upon seeing this on TV and in the newspapers, he, who was now confined to a wheelchair due to the shaking up Bob gave him, started hatching an evil plan to end the entire family's lives. That's why he gradually managed to recruit several individuals who had something against the family to harm them in some way. For instance, Helen's parents despise Bob. The new hero she's working with was once Elastigirl's ex-boyfriend, though he's completely revamped in appearance and still holds a sickly affection for her deep in his heart. And yes, he's indeed real, and his name is Zarek. But he'll be looking entirely different so that Helen doesn't recognize him. Moreover, Tony Rydinger is now with Violet, but he's still heard about her standing him up at the end of the second movie. There's even this bizarre theory floating around the internet that Tony is actually the son of one of Mr. Incredible's biggest arch-enemies, Bon Voyage. And to wrap things up, Dash's new buddy is none other than, brace yourselves, a clone of Syndrome, developed in a lab, but with his mind transferred from a database the villain had left saved in case he died, which did happen at the end of The Incredibles. In this way, by the end of the film, Helen's parents would regret helping Bob's former boss, especially due to the bond they had formed with their grandchildren, even teaching little Jack-Jack to control his fierce superpowers. Similarly, they would aid Violet in her mixed feelings about love and assist Dash through his puberty phase. But at the same time, on the opposing side, there would be a group of villains, which might even include Elastigirl's embittered ex-boyfriend who possesses superpowers. And in the end, the two groups would engage in an epic battle. Remember, even though Syndrome's mind might be housed in a lab-developed body, he'd still possess his brilliant evil intellect, and with the resources from Bob's ex-boss, he could create and build new equipment and robots. Not to mention, villains who've never been caught could easily be recruited as well, like the Underminer and the presumed father of Tony Ridinger, Bon Voyage. We're not sure if this story will actually come to fruition, or if it's truly what's in the script that Disney Pixar is preparing, but it's a story I would certainly love to see on the big screen, especially if, in the end, Bob were to catch his former boss and send him through a few walls once again, just like in the first movie. Because that guy surely deserves it, considering the havoc he'll have wreaked upon the Incredible family's life. But these probably won't be the only faces we'll see in the film, since other returning characters. We know that the government always keeps an eye on everything the heroes do, even if it's just to help them from time to time. And since this movie will likely have a small time jump in the Incredible story, unlike the second movie, which picked up exactly where the first left off, it's very likely that some characters will be replaced or new ones will be introduced. For instance, many believe that Mirage will make a comeback in the third film as Ricardo's replacement, representing the government in its dealings with the heroes, even though the last time she got a punch from Elastigirl.
You must be Mrs. Incredible.
She was helping me to escape.
No, that's what I was doing.
But since she has corporate experience from working with Syndrome, and given that she later helped the heroes, it shows she has a good heart and could take up the role succeeding him, serving as the link between government and heroes. Another character bound to make an appearance is a protege of Edna Mode, focusing more on the teenage hero demographic, with Violet and Dash possibly seeking cooler uniforms that resonate with contemporary fashion. This younger addition would fit right in. And another individual who surely has to appear is Mel. We're talking about Frozone's wife, someone without common superpowers, yet someone he's always asking about his uniform. And even she was going to appear in Incredibles 2 in a scene where she hides the superhero outfit and lies to him, saying that the outfit is in the wash, before he goes on to help the Parr family defeat the Underminer. I've never actually seen Mel, but I'm a huge fan of hers. Just like the film director. Release date: Brad Bird has done two absolutely incredible, pardon the pun, jobs in the two films he directed for the superhero family, so it's only logical for him to be back in the director's chair, steering the ship to bring the sequel of The Incredibles back to the big screen once more, though he knows he'll be very, very exhausted when it's all over, just like what happened with the second film. As for when we can see the film in theaters, that's something that's up in the air. The truth is, the movie's production hasn't even begun yet. And with the Hollywood writers and actors strike, professionals in the film industry and related fields are prohibited by the union from providing any services to the film production companies. This increases the fans' anticipation a bit, even though it's a just cause, but mainly because the gap between The Incredibles and Incredibles 2 was, once again, an incredible 14 years. Man, that's way too long for someone to wait for a good movie, which is why we're certain that won't happen again. It's been almost 5 years now, so if we cut down the gap between the first two films and expect there to be 7 years between the second and third film, we can say that by around 2025, we'll have another fantastic movie to watch in theaters or on Disney+. So let's keep our fingers crossed and eagerly await another amazing installment from this superhero family. That's all we know about this film that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Drop a comment below letting us know if you like the first or second film more. We're curious. And what are your expectations for the third fantastic Incredibles movie? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. Until next time, bye-bye!